everybody, this is Heidi from Modern Bygone, and today we're going to be making stitch markers. I'm going to show you 3 different styles of stitch markers. The first uses a glass or stone bead and some beading wire. The second uses some simple metal charms that I got on Amazon and some jump rings, both 8mm and 12mm. We're also going to talk about using those same charms and jump rings and adding in a lobster claw to be able to use it with crochet or use it as a progress monitor. And the last type of stitch marker we're going to be making is one using some ceramic beads. These ones are cute little chickens that I found. The tools that you're going to be needing, if you're going to make all 3 of the types of stitch markers, you'll need some jeweler's wire, a large knitting needle. This one is size 13 US. You will also need 2 different styles of jeweler's pliers. These ones are just your normal round-nosed pliers. I actually used 2 of these in the video in order to be able to give me better grip. So if you have 2 of them, fantastic, it'll be a little bit easier. If you just have one, you can make it work with one. If you're going to be using the ceramic bead and making this style of stitch marker, you're also going to need a round-nosed pair of pliers. These ones have nice rounded edges on both of the plier jaws. They come together, but they stay nice and round, and this is what will give us that round part where we can actually add in our jump ring and connect the head pin with the jump ring. You're also going to need head pins. These are 2-inch head pins, and they are just wires that have a little bit of an end on them to be able to stop the beads from falling off. I ordered almost all of these products on Amazon, so I'll put some links down below so you can be able to order them yourself. Most of them are ones that I've had on hand for quite a while, so I may not be able to find an exact match, but I'll do my best. The ceramic beads that I used for the chickens are from Joann's. You can find the decorative ceramic beads at any major craft stores, Michael's, Joann's, that sort of thing. And all of these stitch markers will work up to a size 11, maybe an 11.5 on your knitting needles. So let's go ahead and get started and making them down below. The first kind of stitch marker that we are going to be making today is just a simple wire wrap over a stone bead. These are some amethyst beads that I picked up at a stone show in a side-of-the-road truck years and years ago. I've had them on hand. It makes a nice simple stitch marker to be able to use on larger works where you're working with size 8 or 9 knitting needles. I also have a little bit of tiger's eye here that I'm going to be using. Let's see if we can get that to focus. Makes a very nice stitch marker. This one has a little bit larger for the hole for the wires to be able to go in, which means we have to be careful when we're using our pliers. You're also going to need some basic jewelry wire, a large knitting needle. This one happens to be a size 13, and some jewelry pliers. The first thing that you're going to be doing, you're going to cut off about 2 inches. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just going to use my mat down here, straighten out my wire, and cut about 2 inches. So there's 1, 2, use my pliers to cut it. Again, a little over is fine, a little under is fine. It can be close. It's not an exact science. Then you're going to take your pliers, and what we're going to do, if you can see on our stitch marker, is the wire is actually bent over and then poked into the stone through the beading hole, and then it's wrapped around the knitting needle and twisted. So we got to make those little corners to be able to go into the hole for the bead. So we're going to take our pliers and our wire. And our beads aren't very wide, so I'm just going to go along the tip of the needle nose pliers, and I'm just going to crimp it up so that I have just a little bit of an L bend. At the end of our wire. We're going to do that same thing to the other one, to the other end. And it's okay if they don't face each other. We'll fix that later. Again, we're just going down a little ways onto the tip of there, and we're just clamping it and folding up to be able to create those two little L bends. The L bends are going to be going into our needle, or into our stone bead. I'm going to take my tiger's eye. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to place that onto that first bend. Actually, take that back. I'm going to wrap it around the needle first because we need to get it bent. So we're going to go about in the middle. I just eyeball it. Ish is fine. Ish is good. And we're going to bring it to each other. And if you notice that one side is getting longer than the other, just kind of manipulate it so that we're going to get it so that our points are getting close to each other. And we've created a U-bend. We're going to put our bead on the ends here. And we're just going to push it in together. And I'm just going to squeeze the wire together a little bit, just enough to get it to hold on to the bead so that it's not going to fall off. But I actually want my opening to be a little bigger than that. So I'm going to go ahead and stretch it back over the knitting needle. And see, that's popped my bead off, so I've got to put it back on. And then I'm just going to grasp it. I'm going to turn my knitting needle so you can see here. I'm pinching the needle. I'm pinching the bead with the wires in it. And I'm holding the wire against the needle, and I'm just going to twist. And twist. And twist again. And by twisting, you're actually tightening that wire into your bead. And then I'm just gonna pull it a little bit, see which direction I want it to lay. And there is our first type of DIY stitch markers. The second type of stitch marker is even more simple to make. All we need is some jump rings. These are 12 mm jump rings, 8 mm jump rings. And then I also have a lobster claw. This is so that we can use it either as a progress marker for knitting, or you can use these ones along with crochet, being able to open it and hook it onto things. You're also going to want to have a couple of charms. These two charms came in a big pack that I got on Amazon that had like 500 little metal charms. You're also going to want to have 2 pairs of jeweler's pliers for this. These pieces are really small and kind of difficult to hold on to with your fingertips, and having the dexterity of the 2 jeweler's pliers makes it a lot easier to be able to do. So for this one, I want to use the mermaid as my lobster claw stitch marker, and I'm going to use the shell for my second stitch marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my split ring and I'm going to turn it so that I have that split opening. There it is. Ooh. See how hard they are to pick up? I'm going to turn it so that I have that split opening next to my jeweler's pliers. I'm going to go ahead and grab onto that. And then I'm going to use my other pair of jeweler's pliers and grab onto the other side. And we're just going to open it just the tiniest bit. And I'm not pulling apart. I'm actually twisting And if you can see, let's see if I can get that up there, I'm twisting so that I'm pulling it apart, and I don't want to pull it too far because we want to be able to put it back together. I just want to get these two ends far enough apart that I can get my lobster claw and my mermaid charm in between. So I'm going to open it just a teensy bit more. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my mermaid charm. I'm going to pop her on. I'm going to take my lobster claw. I'm going to pop that on. And then I'm going to pull my pliers back out. And I'm just going to pull those right back together. And hopefully that was in focus for most of it. And there is our first stitch marker using a metal charm and a lobster claw. You can use these to be able to track how much you've been knitting on for your progress monitoring. You can be able to open up the lobster claw to use this on crochet. I like to have sets where I have a progress monitor and then maybe another knitting marker to be able to show my beginning of round and things like that on hats or socks. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this second 8mm split ring. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull it apart. Remember, I'm not pulling too far. I just want to get those ends apart enough to be able to get my charm in there. And not quite. A little further. And then you're just going to slip your charm on there. And for this one, I'm actually using a second ring, and this will serve as the ring that goes around the knitting needle. I'm going to go ahead and pluck that right in there. And then I'm going to use my pliers to close that split. And because I put that other ring on here, this one also has a split in it. And I want to be able to make sure that that's not going to catch on my yarn. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my jeweler's pliers. And I'm going to close that ring as well. And now I have a set of markers that can be used. All right, last stitch marker that we're going to be making today. I'm using a set of, I thought they were adorable little chicken ceramic beads. I bought them at Joann's. I don't even know how long ago, years ago. They've been sitting in my drawer waiting for me to sit down and make stitch markers. And then we are also going to be using head pins, 2-inch head pins, a 12mm jump ring. These little silver beads actually came along with the chickens in the ceramic bead set. And we're going to be creating our little chicken stitch marker with the 12mm stitch ring to be able to go on up to probably a 9 or a 10 knitting needle. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to need 3 sets of jeweler's pliers today to make it easy. We've got the 2 regular jeweler's pliers. These ones make it so that we can grab a hold of that slip ring, that jump ring, and the wires and things that are a little slippery, a little easier. And then we have these pliers, which have rounded nose on the tips. And we're going to actually use that to create the rounded section of the head pin that allows us to put that slip ring in on the chicken. So first things first, let's grab our head pin. I'm going to take our head pin. I'm going to put a small pin on the bottom because you can see the head pin has a really, really tiny end, and our chicken has a fat beading hole, and I don't want that to just go right on through. So we're going to build up with some beads first. I'm going to use the small bead, And then I'm going to use a bigger bead to make sure my chicken doesn't slide off the head pin. Put that other bead here inside the slip ring. Then we're going to put our chicken on there. Then I'm going to put that other small bead on. And there's the basic format for our stitch marker for our little chicken here. Now this head pin is very much too long. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my regular jeweler's pliers and I'm going to trim it off to about, let's see on our mat here, about 1/4 of an inch above the chicken, maybe a finger's width above the top bead. And I'm going to go ahead and clip that off using the pliers. And then I'm going to come back. Now it's important that you go a little ways back on these rolled nose tip jeweler's pliers. If you go too far up here, you won't be able to get your slip ring through. You'll just create a really super tiny ring that you can't get your slip ring through. So we're actually going to go a little bit further back. And then I'm just going to slowly but surely roll down. And I'm going to keep on rolling all the way down to that chicken. And now you can see that it's kind of pulled out away from the chicken a little ways. There's my head pin right there, my ring. I can straighten it later. Right now I'm focusing on making sure that I've got my opening for my slip ring nice and tight. And then I'm going to grab my jeweler's pliers and I'm going to just straighten it out a little bit because I want my chicken to hang straight. But I want that hole closed. Sorry, didn't realize I was off camera. And we're just going to ring it around. Try not to catch our bead and break it. Straighten it. So now we have our chicken on the head pin. It's okay if it's a little loose. We've got our ring for the opening for the slip ring. So we're going to go ahead and grab our slip ring. This one's already pulled apart quite a bit, so I don't need to use my pliers for that. I can just catch it on there. And then I'm going to use my pliers to hold each side so that I can get a good grip on it. And then I'm just going to pull those ends together. Remember, we don't want to pull them apart. We're just twisting them back together so that they'll be as close as possible. And there we go. Adorable chicken stitch markers. I even have one pink and one red. So that's how we make 3 different styles of stitch markers that can be used in both knit and crochet. If you really liked what you saw today, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notify bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos every week. And make sure you tune in on Instagram and Facebook at Modern Bygone to be able to see a preview of what the next week's video is going to be. Happy crafting!